Morning, everyone. Welcome to the May 24th, 2022 meeting of Henderson County Fiscal Court. We're glad you're with us. We'll begin as we always do with the invocation. Please stand, join me in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, please watch over us as we make decisions for the good of our community and its residents. Please watch over our healthcare workers, first responders, as they continue to deal with the pandemic. Please watch over our men and women in uniform, both here and abroad. Say these things in your name. Amen. Amen. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Manager Southern.
Here.
Manager Moran.
Here.
Manager Putman.
Here.
Manager Berry.
Here.
Manager McCollum.
Here. Ladies and gentlemen, you have before you the minutes from the May 10th, 2022 Fiscal Court meeting and the May 13th special called meeting where we worked on the budget. After a period of review, I'll entertain a motion to approve both of those.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other corrections, clarifications, or additions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll start it off with our good friend Ethan Johnson from KYTC District 2, who's going to lead us through their proposed plan for the upcoming paving season, and we're going to talk about flex funds too. So Ethan, welcome. And if you want to introduce the team with you,
Yeah.
feel free.
All right. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This is Matt West. He's our branch manager for the north section. This is JC Roan. She's a scholarship student. She'll be starting full-time next year, hopefully, for the state. And then Nick Hall. What exactly is it that your title is? Planning. He's just planning.
Man,
All right.
no respect.
All right, so we're going to go through the rural secondary recommendations for this upcoming fiscal year. So this is just a map of Henderson. Anything you see that's in yellow, it's actually rural secondary routes. The green, if you can kind of see it, is MP routes. Purple is supplemental. And you got a few other different colors there for US 60, Audubon Parkway, I-69, but we're just going to focus on the rural secondary routes. So by the numbers, we got about 230 centerline miles of state-maintained roadway in Henderson. About 136 and a half centerline miles of that's rural secondary. There's 122 state-maintained bridges, and then there's 46 rural secondary bridges. And I got to thinking, and I went and looked, and 11 of those 46 are actually on Kentucky 416, which I thought was kind of interesting. But so 416's got a lot of bridges. So district recommendations, recommending Kentucky 145 from the Henderson-Webster County line to Dixon 1 and 2, that intersection there. That's where we stopped with the last bit of paving that we did, and that'll actually finish up 145, that section. And then Kentucky 283 from Kentucky 416 to US 41. And then that'll actually finish up that 283 section too. So 283 will be completely resurfaced within the last few years. Kentucky 416 from Middle Delaware Road to Kentucky 1078. That's just another section of 416 that needs to be resurfaced. Just of note, I did some base failures last year on Kentucky 416, and this isn't the section that we did base failures on. I did one kind of big one there where it was failing pretty bad. But I kind of want to see how the other base failures that we fixed do, see if there's something else we can do to fix them, because that stuff by the dollar store, I'm sure most of you know, is pretty bad shape. I'm hoping the base failures just hold up and I can just put a surface course over it and everything will be good. But I just want to kind of see, are any more going to form, and are the ones that we fix going to hold up? So I'm going to give that another year, give it a winter, and see what happens to it. But I think this section of 416 is actually worse than any of the other parts of it, and we'll go through that in detail a little bit later. And then Kentucky 1078, the intersection realignment. We talked about that last time, and we finally have plans for it, and we can finally move forward with it. And so it's basically from the Race Creek Bridge to US 60. It's just a real short section there, about 3/10 of a mile. And then that's going to cost about $400,000 what we found. And then the flex funds, I had this on flex funds last year, Kentucky 416 from 136 to Upper Delaware Road. It's about a mile. And so just a few things to highlight here while we're still here. The KYTC funds are like about $1.2 million this year. That's because I've been holding over money for the Kentucky 1078 project for a few years. So it was kind of hard to estimate exactly how much it would be until we got here. But I got my set of plans and got the estimate. And so we'll be able to use up that full money and be back in our normal cycle of, whatever we have is what we have, and we don't have to hold anything back. Also, the prices this year are much higher than they've been in the past, quite a bit higher. You can kind of see we usually had about $80,000 a lane mile put in here when we presented, but now it's more like $120,000 a lane mile, and I'm not even sure if that's enough. We've gotten some really high prices recently. We went to Union County's fiscal court meeting, and the numbers they were getting were really high too. So I hope that's going to be good enough. Again, if we go over a little bit doing these, it'll just come out of our budget for next year, but hopefully things get under control sooner rather than later, and we won't have to spend so much. So I'm going to go through it in detail now. We'll start with the real secondary funds. Like I said, $1.2 million, and some of that's just been carried over. So the first road we look at is Kentucky 145. The section that we're doing is that one right there that butts up to Webster County. That road gets about 400 cars a day. And you can kind of see here on the right side, the pavement's really fatigued. Some of that's caused by just the fact that we've probably widened out the road a little bit throughout the years, and so it just gets worse on the edge and then kind of migrates in. But another surface course will help seal that up. It'll help from the water and the stuff getting in there, because if you've got spots where water holds, like this spot right here, you'll end up with more base failure type areas and where the pavement's even in worse shape. So we're going to come through there, fix that base failure while we're in there, and just make sure that we can get the water to drain off the road, because it seems like the shoulder might be a little high through there just looking at it. So that's another thing that we do every time we go through projects, is talk to our maintenance people and tell them, hey, we're going to resurface this road. Is there anything you need to fix? And the other thing I wanted to talk about is, and another reason I wanted to resurface this area, is the bridge that we replaced on Kentucky 145. And I say we, really Nick. So while he was still here, he actually did this project. So I wanted to kind of go through that while I was here on Kentucky 145, just kind of take you through the process that happened. So I'll go ahead and go to, so this is what it used to look like. I actually budgeted a little bit of money last year, if you remember, for pipe replacements. I didn't do that this year because money's so tight, and we'll just have to make do with what we have. But I was able to use probably 3/4 of that pipe replacement money to replace this structure. I called it a bridge, but the truth is that it isn't a bridge by our definition, because it wasn't 20 feet or more. So that's why our bridge personnel didn't review it every year, and that's why it got in such bad shape without us knowing. So it's kind of a wake-up call for us, I think, to monitor other structures that we have that might be less than 20 feet, just to kind of check our roads and see if there's anything. So we got a call from, I think, a farmer, and said he was concerned with it. And then I think Nick went out and looked at it, and then our bridge crew went out and looked at it and took a few pictures. We actually had it down to one lane for safety after they looked at it. It was in that bad a shape in one of the lanes. So this is just what the structure used to look like. It was in pretty bad shape underneath as well. And you can kind of see that it's kind of rusted there. You can't really get the best picture of how bad it really was. But the guardrail basically wasn't even attached to the structure. When me and Nick went out there and looked at it, we were kind of just able to like push it off. So, I mean, that it was really far gone. It was just one of those things that we overlooked because, it wasn't, we thought it was a bridge. I mean, you drive through there, you see the guardrail, you think it's a bridge. Even we did, so, but it wasn't on our inventory. So this is what it looks like now. Again, this was Nick's project. He was actually still here when we replaced that structure, and he basically did all the work with it. I got him some money, and that's basically all I did. So he was out there with our maintenance crew getting that thing repaired. So again, that's another reason why I want to resurface this area, is because I want to get the base and surface over top of that culvert like it should be, and not just put a scratch course over it, because it'll start to pothole in no time if we don't fix it right. So the other road, the next road that I want to look at is Kentucky 283. This section here, so that'll finish 283. It gets about 400 cars a day. This section's in pretty rough shape. It's really stripped. It's really starting to ravel in many different places. You see places like there in the center line. Sometimes when that happens, it's because we don't have a very good crown and the water can't come off. Sometimes it's just because the road gets so fatigued that, maybe you have localized failure and then water kind of stays in there. And so much of the road looks like this. It's really stripped. It's really worn. It's really starting to ravel in many different places. And again, like on 145, when you get areas that hold water just a little bit, you'll start to get your pavement actually popping out, and you'll have bad areas like this. That'll just start to get worse. So this one really needs another surface course, cover up all the cracking, cover up all those areas. That'll help it to have some more life to it. And then while we're there on the 283 project, we replaced this bridge over Kentucky 416 not too long ago. This asphalt on it right now is just a scratch course. It's just a little bit of surface. And so I'm going to set up to do some base and some surface over top of it when we come through and do this 283 project, since they're pretty close to each other. It's hard to get our contractor to come out and do these little strips of patching, so it's just best if I can set it up during a RS project, then it's easier to get it done. And I'm also looking at trying to get the guardrail put up there, because it is a pretty substantial drop off. There was guardrail there before. It's just a matter of, can we bridge over top of the arch of the structure with a guardrail and still have it meet standards. So still looking into that. So, but the base and surface will be done as part of this RS project. The guardrail is more of a internal maintenance master agreement type thing. So. And then on to Kentucky 416, the section that I'm suggesting is right here, from Middle Delaware to 1078. That section gets about 900 cars a day, which again is double what some of those other roads were getting. 416 is a pretty busy road. It's a pretty long road. So this section of 416, I think, is one of the worst sections of 416 that we've got. As you can see, it's kind of still got the same raveling as 283 did. It's got some of the same fatigue on the edges, but it's also got even more cracking, which again, you don't want water to get in those cracks. It'll just make them bigger, and it'll start to undermine your road. And again, it's got excessive fatigue. I don't know if you can see it very well, but that lane's actually rutted really bad right through there, just where, the top surface course starts to break down and fall apart, and then you get more stress on your layers beneath it, and then it just starts to kind of go from there. So we'll fix that while we're in there, put some leveling wedging on it, and try to make that better. And then again, just more raveling, examples of raveling where it's raveling out, and then it just starts to pop up the asphalt. We've got to fix it. And again, it's there on that edge where we've probably widened the road just a little bit over the years, but again, it comes slowly in. You can even see the raveling in the center line too, so that's a pretty bad sign. Once your raveling starts happening there in the center line, that means the road really does need some kind of treatment to keep it going. And then Kentucky 1078, it's just that real small section there of that intersection project. We went through this last year, but I thought I'd just go through it one more time to review it. So this is the existing alignment, and the existing alignment has a sight distance of 370 west and 495 plus east, and 495 is what we're shooting for. So a while back, me and Nick went and looked at it, and we thought, why don't we just put it right here? Well, our designer surveyed it and said, It doesn't actually meet the site distance that you're looking for, even though when me and Nick stood out there, we thought it did, but, you can't argue with survey data. So what they suggested was, instead of doing that, why don't we go from here about and meet it there? And when you do that, you get your full site distance to the west and you keep your extra site distance on the east. So we figured that was probably the best option. And then this is just the front page of the plans. So we do have a set of plans. They were actually done in-house. We're going to put 6 inches of base there. We're actually going to put 12-inch rock subgrade on it too. So there's probably going to be more structure under that section of 1078 than there is under most of our 4-digit state roads. And so it should have pretty good structure there. We shouldn't have any problems out of that section once we get done. So it'll definitely improve safety. It'll improve whatever structure's there, like I said. So that's going to get done as part of this letting with the RS projects. So it'll all be bundled together. So now I'm going to move on to the flex funds. Again, I suggested this last year, but I figured it was still good, especially because the prices are coming back so high. I can't do much more than a mile with the flex funds that I've got. So again, this section's got about 900 cars a day as well. I did repair some base failures on this section last year, just as part of the other base failures that we did, since I was already in the area, and I just figured it was good to go ahead and get some of those fixed while we were there. And then again, we can get decent prices since it's close to that other section of 416. And again, it's just kind of much of the same. There's a lot of raveling. The pavement stripped, you can kind of see raveling throughout. Again, you're getting fatigue on the edges. You're getting that problem where the outside's probably not as structurally sound as the inside, and so it's kind of migrating from there over. And then you're also seeing some bigger cracks forming as well, and then it's kind of hard to see, but that lane's actually down quite a bit. So it's just another part where it's starting to fail on the edge there. So it's another section that needs to be resurfaced, but again, I know what my prices look like, I know what unions look like, and I'm sure yours are high too, so I'm sure that the budgeting concerns, everybody's got to take care of what they got to take care of. So but that's just, I thought that was a good candidate for our flex, and so that's what I was suggesting. So again, I just kind of want to go over the state of the RS routes. How are we doing? How are we keeping up with RS routes? Again, they are the yellow. So if you look here, I highlighted everything in blue of what has been resurfaced within the last 10 years. So we're actually doing pretty good in Henderson. We've got about 65% of our RS miles resurfaced within the last 10 years. The other counties are only looking at about 50%. And I'm sure that's some of that's got to do with the generosity of the flex funds that we've had in the past, but also it has to do with probably competition up here. Union pretty much just has Rogers that bid down there. And then up until recently, Webster basically just had road builders. But Henderson was looking at road builders would sometimes come up here. Rogers was up here, EMB, J.H. Rudolph's up here. So we were getting some competition up here too. But now that we're still getting a little bit of competition with the EMB and Rogers group, but it's not as substantial as it used to be. So again, we're going to get higher prices because of that. And if you add on these few that we're doing, they're in light blue. I probably could have used a better color because it's hard to see. But and then that orange is the flex funds. So again, some of these routes are actually going to fall off next year because it'll be more than 10 years since they've been resurfaced. But as I've been kind of looking at more and more routes, it seems like we're getting more like 12 years of life out of most of our RS routes that don't have a bunch of heavy traffic on them. So I may, 12 years may be a better cycle, and that would kind of help, that just kind of help the health of our roads. If we can keep them in good condition for 12 years and not need to be resurfaced, then that'd be good. So, and the other thing that Nick liked to do every year, and I like to do it too because it's cool to look at the other things that we've done with RS money other than just resurfacing, is the bridge and culvert replacements. And I know when Nick used to give this presentation, he was real big on animations and just things happening. So I thought I would kind of up my game as I went along here, because I'm not really the person that likes to do that kind of stuff, but most of these he did anyway. So I figured if anything deserved Nick's personality, it was these. So we'll get some good-looking transitions and animations in here. So I found a few. I'm not actually sure if there's more than these few that we've done. These are only the ones that I know of, so Nick probably did a few that I don't know of. So first one we're going to look at, Kentucky 145. It's in that curve that we, I don't know how to explain it. I can't remember what that side road is, but it's in a curve, kind of. It was one of the, Nick did that one before I was here. It's on that first section of 145 before you get to 2253 if you're coming from Cord. And so we redid that one. I wasn't really involved in that one, like I said. And then this one right here is Kentucky 2253. This is actually the first one that I worked on with Nick. I was out there with him when we were redoing this one. So replace that one. And then this one we already showed, Kentucky 145, but Nick basically did this one, so I thought it was another one of Nick's projects. I already went through this one too, but this one is Kentucky 416. We redid that one. It was actually a really deep one. This is the first one that I did by myself, and it was difficult for sure without Nick there, with all of his experience. So, and then the last one that I wanted to show is not actually RS. It's actually US 60. That was another one of Nick's last projects before he left the cabinet. He got that done, and so that was good for US 60 because that culvert was pretty dangerous with the guardrail, and it was kind of narrow. So especially being on US 60 like that was good to get fixed. So, and so you can kind of see, you know, Nick was a super dedicated employee, and he was you know, he's a super good guy. He's a super snow fighter and things like that, you know. But, you know, one thing that Nick isn't really is a superhero. But found this picture, and I couldn't help but think it could be his superhero costume. And so I decided I would animate it and give him a superhero feel here. And you'll have to let Nick tell you exactly what's going on in this picture. But it's actually pretty interesting. So anyway, so.
You know, that's the first time I've seen him smile. In the last 10 minutes, you've been laying it on thick, and he just now cracked a smile.
Anyway, so there you go. So that ends that presentation. Any questions?
I'm very interested in your experience with the increased cost of asphalt, because we're obviously feeling it too, and we haven't had as many people bid and firms bid. That's a challenge. I know both Bill Hubiak and Nick, and I'm sure you are wondering about the future effectiveness of this rubberized asphalt product that we've laid down a couple test plots on. It could help a lot, I would suspect, although I don't know how much cheaper it is, but it might last longer, I think, if I'm not mistaken. That's the value. Thank you for what you do. I know money is tight. I would sense that probably the will of the court is to maintain our own, hang on to our flex funds and use them for our planning as we asphalt roads. But any other questions for Ethan?
Well, I'd like to thank you for what you do. And I know you have to work harder with less. I'm not sure if you're free to talk about this or not, but I think it's important. I asked the district engineer about 20 years ago, how come we put the Green River Bridge on the 10-year plan in 1972, and now it's going to be finished in 1922. 50 years is a little longer than 10 years, and we weren't taking in enough revenue to pay for 1 year of the 10-year plan in the 10-year period. And he was sitting where you were, and he said, "Charlie, can I talk to you after court?" I said, "Sure." And he said, "Charlie, I've been told that I'll be fired if I talk about our financial situation at the Cabinet of Transportation. And I appreciate that, but I think the public has to know where we are financially in this state in the Department of Transportation. If you're going to put blacktop, try to put it down 12 once every 12 years. In all honesty, we don't have the money to do that. And we're not taking care of our bridges. We're not taking care of what, and the public needs to know. So I would just ask you, if you can, I'm not trying to jeopardize your job or anything, but what do we need to do, and what can we do to help the Commonwealth of Kentucky get a better stream of revenue where we can let the engineers do their work, even with the price increases and whatnot, so we can get this stuff done instead of having to hold back funds and take this and do. You're costing more money doing it the way you're having to do it than if you could just go out and do it. You wouldn't have to jump from one place to another. You could set up a plan and have your equipment in one place and not have to jump back and forth. Am I saying anything incorrect?
I don't think so. It's way above my head as far as what the state needs. Way, way above my head.
Okay.
I mean, I have my own opinions myself. But
I understand.
I'm not gonna go on record with any of them.
Well, and I understand where you are there, and that's why I apologize. But the public has to know. I mean, we're all just doing the best we can, and we got people out there saying they want to cut taxes, and you need to look at the whole ball of wax, the whole picture, not just of the county, but you do need to know what the county finances are too, but the state, and where we are on our bridges and whatnot. We don't need something to happen like up in Minneapolis where the bridge falls down and a bunch of people get killed because they didn't take care of it. We need to infrastructure is so important if we're going to try to get industry down here. If Henderson doesn't take care of our roads, people aren't going to come here and bring jobs to Henderson County. That's why I care as much about the road. I don't have any roads in my district. I've been gerrymandered out of roads, but they're important that we have good roads in Henderson County, and so I feel like all the magistrates here feel the same way, and we just want to do what we can to make this happen. And of course, if we got raised revenue on the state side, part of that would flow back to us on our side, and we could take better care of our roads. So.
Any other questions of Ethan?
One of the things I've noticed on these bridges or culverts, whatever we're putting on, there's no guardrails.
Mhm.
Is that we're trying to go away from guardrails, or?
So, sometimes when you're over those arch culverts, it's hard to get your guardrail. Like, there's only a certain amount that you can span over top of them before it's not even crash worthy anymore. So sometimes we run into those problems. So usually what we try to do when we put in these arch culverts is we try to widen them out quite a bit to give people more shoulder, more room. And also we just, as far as guardrail goes, it's actually a pretty deadly hazard to hit. So you actually want to make sure that if somebody runs off the road and hits that guardrail, that's actually going to be better than if they just, went off the road a little bit and were able to correct back. So those are all the things we try to take into consideration when we decide whether we want guardrail or not. My personal judgment on that 416 one is that one's really deep, so that's probably pretty hazardous. So I really want to try to get guardrail back up there if it's going to be crash worthy. But some of these other situations, I think putting that extra, 10 foot or so on each side, give them shoulder to recorrect. That way they don't just slam into the guardrail. So that's kind of our consideration when we run through those kind of things.
It's interesting. Any other questions? So we'll take these recommendations and get back to you. Yes, sir.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just wanted to, give an update on the Spotsfield Bridge, in case anybody was wanting that.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
I've been the project manager on that
Oh,
since it started, a couple months after it started. So we got the deck poured. You can actually drive all the way across it now. Well, if you want to go out there, I'll take you across
No.
it. But,
I want that concrete to harden up.
So the next couple of steps, they should be putting some barrier wall, the remaining barrier wall on the truss section either this week or next week, and then start painting the bridge. And then once they get the upper portion painted, we're looking possibly in July, maybe getting traffic switched over onto it. But that weather, painting, how the painting goes, all is kind of, we'll determine that. But it will be completed and traffic moved over this summer.
You all have done a nice job on it. I'm
Thank you.
pleased, yeah.
And as far as the funding goes, that's across the state. Prices have increased across the state. Funding has stayed the same, or not. It's not equated to the increase in prices. But we have at the central office, they started preventive maintenance programs, some other programs. One, to bring in some competition. Two, to try to preserve our asphalts longer and extend the life of them. 60 east of Henderson going out, we put a thin lay over it, which is we can do that cheaper than the price of a 1-inch overlay. And actually, from my experience in the last few years of using those products, they seem to be a little better product and have a little more life and stand up a little better. So we've gotten extra funding in those departments to try to preserve our good asphalts that we have, instead of letting them get into such a bad shape that to repair them, just the prices, the worse it gets, the higher the prices get to get them back in good shape. So those kind of programs have started, and they are getting some real funding to them. And we try to get it. The whole state fights over those pots of money. Each of the other 11 districts try to get that money, and we make sure we try to get ours and then some others if we can. So we are trying to get as much funding as we can for you all in our counties. So
What's the plan for the overage? I've heard different things.
so it's going to get removed, and they should. Right now, the plan is to dynamite or do point charges and drop it into the river and then pull it out. So.
I'm going to remind me, I'll give you the contact information for our local American Legion post. They have an honor guard that's very active, and they've already expressed to me the desire to take part in whatever kind of ribbon cutting ceremonies go on with the Spotsfield Bridge.
Yes.
And I'll get you that number, but people are already beginning to look forward to it.
Yes. Yeah. It'll likely, it may not be the same day we actually, because the traffic change will be under
Yeah.
traffic. We're gonna, it's gonna be a little hectic that day, because we're gonna have to do part of traffic moved over and then wedge up and then move the rest over the same day. So we may try to do a ribbon cutting the day before.
Yeah,
to keep
whatever your plan is.
people off
Yeah.
out of harm's way. So,
And people have also expressed the desire for one final time to walk
Walk
over the
across.
old one, yeah, which is interesting.
yes.
So-
We're working out those details. The new bridge does have 8-foot shoulder pedestrian walkway across it on both sides. So, in addition to 2 12-foot lanes.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
So if you don't get killed getting to the bridge, you can ride across it safely.
I just build the bridge. I don't design them.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Thank you for what you do.
So-
Appreciate it.
Any other questions? Or?
No, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you all.
Next, we've got a couple rounds of appointments to make. The Board of Assessment Appeals, which includes Steve Raleigh, is needing a replacement. Mr. Raleigh is rolling off, and Lenny Underwood, longtime heavy equipment rep here in the county, very well-known guy. When he retired last year, the first thing he did was come to me and say, I want to serve, I want to contribute to the community somehow. If you have an opening, I'd love to participate. And this is the first one of those where I thought Lenny could really lend some expertise and some common sense to the Board of Assessment Appeals. So I would entertain a motion to appoint Lenny Underwood and also make Richard Kirby the new chairperson, because that was Steve Raleigh's spot before he rolled off. Do you have a motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Planning Commission also has 3 folks rolling off, and Brian Bishop and others have indicated they'd love for these folks to continue on. David Dixon, Dickie Johnson, and Doug Bell. David is the current chairman, and both Dickie and Doug have lots of experience now with that Planning Commission work, so I'd like to reappoint them and keep the ball rolling on the Planning Commission. So I'm going to entertain a motion to reappoint those 3 gentlemen.
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The item in your packet about the I-69 US 60 roundabouts, I'd like to table that if I could, having talked to several of you, and having a discussion before court today with Nick Stallings about doing a little research on options for those roundabouts in case the county would want to play a role in what ends up inside the circles and what that could look like and how we might utilize it if we want to. So if you don't mind, I'd like to spend a couple months maybe and talk to Nick about bringing back some examples from other communities and with cost estimates and things like that. Is that acceptable?
You need a motion to table?
No, I don't think so. So, moving on. That's okay. Next, you have your animal control reports, I believe, yes? And I'll ask Kendra Strong. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I know Teresa sent over all the financials and the calls for this month. We didn't have as many calls for April as we did March. We did take in 17 animals from people being arrested in a week's time. So most of those are still in our care. Also, I know that I had talked to Kurt over email about something that was stated in last month's meeting that I wanted to correct. I'm not really sure how this kind of went down, but through reading the minutes, I noticed that it said that we were taking in animals from other shelters. That is not correct. We do get requests all the time from other shelters to take animals in that are full. We do not do that. If we have open kennels, we keep open kennels, especially for strays. We never know. I mean, we can pick up 5 strays at once, so we try to keep open kennels for that. So I kind of wanted to correct that. I don't know how that conversation kind of went down, but that is not the case. We generally don't have many open kennels as it is. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
So through April, a little bit in the red.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on how that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, just the increase of animals coming in. Strays are coming in. After 7 days, they transfer over to the Humane Society side. So, in those 7 days, we've had a lot of people just not reclaiming their animals. The board is actually going to vote on some fee increases for owner surrenders and also reclaims of strays. I know we've talked about in the past and increasing city-county tags since they're $2. That's something that I think is probably needed to a certain extent to make up a little bit of revenue. Food costs have increased. Vaccines have increased. I ordered vaccines yesterday. They went up 30% from the month before. There's a shortage of them. I mean, it's just everything is increasing like crazy. And the amount of animals that are coming in, I mean, post-COVID has not been great to shelters. Solely because of the fact, or animal control agencies for that matter, solely because everyone wanted a dog, or they had a dog that was unaltered during COVID and they couldn't get it into the vet. So now you have an influx of puppies everywhere. We have been sending animals up to Michigan, Wisconsin. There's several rescues out of Evansville that pull from us. So, I mean, we're keeping our kennels empty for our animal control animals that are coming in. But we made big strides last month in making up some of that default. I think we were in the positive $5,000 last month. And that's basically, I told them, we're only ordering necessities, and we also got a large donation of food from Pet Food Center. They brought a truckload over of food. So that's helpful. They're pretty good to us about that when we need help.
You know, I would agree with you that the cost of licensed dog tags should be increased, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But the issue is I understand you can't get vets, which would be like when I take my dog in, you know, they just add another $5 or $10 on it, and no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah,
Are you still trying to pursue the vets here in town to maybe, because part of it, I thought their excuse was administrative fees. They didn't want to have to handle it, the paperwork and all that.
That is the reasoning. They don't
But-
want to have to separate the financial. I will say that we're getting a turnover in some of the older vets, and some new vets are coming in, some younger, more progressive, and that's helpful. So we have a few that are, you know, right now we're using 4 different vets just to get our animals vetted and spayed and neutered. So again, the vets are completely overwhelmed post-COVID, but we have had those conversations. I also have been making it a point before people, you know, if they cannot produce rabies when they reclaim their animal, that I'm making animal control take them to the vet, get the rabies shot, and then they have to buy city county tags when they reclaim the animal. So we've implemented that, which has been helpful because of the fact that, you know, it makes a million follow-up calls trying to get the rabies from those people. I'm also working on trying to do an online form, make it easier for people. I've been working on that for about 2 weeks at night after my real job. So just making it easier for people to access that, and instead of having to come all the way down the shelter, bring their rabies tags, come back and forth.
You know, I know I thought I understood anyway that this was an accounting nightmare for the vets if they collected the tags when you had your dog at the vet. You know, and about everybody, my dog goes at least twice a year or 3 times a year.
Right.
And but I don't see how that can be such a problem. I mean, honestly, I just don't see it. If that's just a set-aside fund, if it's a 50-50 split or whatever, it's better than that $2.50 or whatever you're charging now. So
Well, and again, I think you also have to understand the vets in this town. Most of the vets in Henderson County don't even use a computerized system. I mean, when we get bills for, you know, from spay neuters, from vets, and it's handwritten. So again, for them, they're keeping ledgers and, you know, I mean, so hopefully when we get the tides are turning a little bit, we're getting a more progressive set of veterinarians in town, that hopefully they'll upgrade a little bit, and we can, you know, because I think, yes, a computerized system would be very easy for them. But again, when they're handwriting everything right now, it seems to be a little bit of a challenge.
how much of an issue would it be, like, my niece owns Shaggy Chic. If you had these groomers and
Misty.
stuff could they possibly assist in trying to collect that license fee as, you know, as dogs come in, or is that another nightmare?
Well, the only way you can get city county tags is you have proof of rabies, and the only way you can get rabies is if a licensed veterinarian does rabies. So the problem with that, you know, it makes more sense for, you know, when I lived in Lexington for 5.5 years, like, you went to the vet, you got rabies, they gave you a city county tag. You know, I mean, that's how that worked.
Simple. Yeah.
Yeah, it's simple. And again, you know, we've had the conversations over and over and over. I think, you know, Dr. Cottingham at Animal Hospital is kind of more open to it than the rest. Leif Nichols has a new vet coming in his office.
She's there. Matter of fact,
Yeah,
I was out
is
there
she
last
back?
week.
Okay,
Yeah.
I haven't been there in a
Yeah,
couple of
she's
weeks, but
there, yeah.
she was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
But again, so we're, you know, and she's very open to it. So I think we're making progress there. It just takes time to kind of get them to understand that it's not a hard process.
Doesn't appear to be. I know
It's not.
Yeah, I know we talked about it in that pause committee, you know. And,
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't know if you pursued it any further or not.
Yeah, I mean, I have the conversation every time I walk into Leif's office, or every time I walk into Dr. Cunningham's office, or any of them for that matter. I mean, I do. I talk to the health department. They actually get funds for rabies. I talked to the health department the other day, seeing if we could kind of partner with that vet from Leif's office to do a rabies clinic with city county tags. Because they do get some funding for that. So I had that conversation with him last week. So hopefully we'll kind of get that together too.
Yeah, and most people are pretty attached to their animals. Most people.
Yeah,
So a
most.
small fee for license is really no big deal, I don't think.
No.
Whatever it is, I mean, but I
Yeah.
think we're a little cheap on it right now, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I think
And-
they're
and then
$20
on top of
and
that, nobody's
$10.
purchasing, nobody's licensing them, so.
Yeah, and any animal that we adopt out is licensed. Any dog that's adopted out from the shelter is licensed, because they have to be fully vetted, rabies, and city county tax.
Are they chipped as well?
Yep, they're microchipped. Yep.
So
How
what's
much,
the-
how much, I'm sorry,
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
how much cost is associated with that chip? I know it's no big deal, it's just a,
So our cost is $8. We charge $15 to the public.
okay.
But next month we'll probably run a promotion on it. It's National Microchip Month, so
Yeah. We just want you to do well, or do better anyway, so.
Yeah.
as far
We're-
as your
we're trying
revenue
very
stream,
hard.
Yeah,
yeah, we put a lot of effort in, and I know Teresa is willing to sit down. Our treasurer and all our board in general is willing to sit down and answer any questions you guys have.
Sure.
At any time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was looking at the animal tag sales here, and for April, it was $26. Is that
Where's that?
So
On that
on the,
report we got.
on the report we got? And then
So
on,
that's-
on for the year was $163. That's how much we've taken in for tags.
well, they're $2
It's nothing.
a piece.
So we're not,
Well, the,
I mean,
the
that's not-
problem is that too. So most of that tag sales comes from animals that are adopted through the shelter, correct? Like,
Right.
so dogs that are adopted out. Because most people don't want to come down to the shelter and bring their rabies, do all of that. The other problem we have is our spay neuters for animals that are adopted, that are in foster homes, is out at least 3 to 4 months. All vets are out 3 to 4 months. So there's a lag time in everything that's going out. Davis County just opened a spay neuter clinic. They were nice enough to do, I think, 46 of our animals last month, to try and, to speed up the process. But I mean, we can't fully adopt them with city county tags and rabies because they get rabies when they're spayed and neutered. So, yeah, but $2, I mean, is it, it's not a lot.
Who sets that?
We
Who sets
do.
that fee? We do.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sensing that the fiscal court is open to a plan from animal control to look
Raise
at
it.
this issue. And I think within that plan, you could come up with some way to incentivize the veterinarians to be involved. And from an accounting standpoint, they're numbered tags, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm a vet and I sell tags 1 through 50, and I
Right.
call you up and say, I need some more,
We know that
you bring
it's
another
that amount of
50
money.
and collect the money for the last 50, they get their portion, you get your portion. I mean, it shouldn't be a big accounting issue if they're getting a set number at a time. If it's 50 or 100 or however you do it, there shouldn't have to be a big report. It's,
I agree.
so I mean, that there are probably ways to set that up. So if you all have a plan, it sounds like the fiscal court would be open to amending the ordinance or looking at amending the ordinance.
Very
in
much.
accordance with that plan.
Okay.
Very much.
We'll
This
absolutely get
is
that to you.
really unreasonable. That $2 is way too low. If I were a veterinarian, if you gave me the whole thing, I wouldn't want to mess with it for two. It cost about $20 to send out a letter.
Right.
I mean, so what in the world are we thinking at $2? Of course, the vet's not going to want to do it. If you could find out what they charge in Lexington or some other places and what they pay the vet to do it, I'm on board.
Okay. We'll definitely get a plan together for you. Absolutely.
Just want you to do well.
yes.
We're trying. Yeah, we have a great board and we have a great staff right now. So we're hoping it's on the upswing. We've kind of cleared house. It's taken a while, but we've cleared house and there's some way better employees, so.
Thank you very much.
We want to
you.
help you be successful. We just need the information that whatever we need to do to try to make this
Absolutely.
plan.
Yeah, and I mean, again, we're an open book, so anytime you have any questions, feel free to call, email, whatever you need.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next, Renee Abner with her report.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Today, I have April's excess fees for the month in the amount of $120,609.31, and the total for April is $174,687.24.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions of Renisa?
Thank you again for all your hard work. and your
Thank
staff.
you. Thank you.
Everything
I-
was smooth, yes. It was so
Thank
smooth.
you. Can I take a second and just talk about the election real quick, or no?
Let me get a vote, and then we
Okay.
can do that. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Floor is yours.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a big thank you to Bill and the road department. He helped me move all of the voting machines out to the polling locations, helped us bring them back afterwards. So I just wanted to, Philip Brand, Jason Stone, Eric Higgs, Stephen Young from the road department. They were excellent to work with and really helped us out tremendously and saved us money. We rent trucks from Ryder, and we take all the equipment out and instead of paying a moving company, and it really does save a lot of money for the county, and just wanted to give them a hats off and congratulations on the great job that they did. So, thank you very much.
Good job, Bill. Thank you. And the election went smoothly, right? Okay, I'll have Treasurer Ryder come up. We're going to have first reading of our budget, and I do appreciate everybody's, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll give you
Go
some
ahead.
money if you want,
Go ahead.
before you do that.
Absolutely.
I've
Go ahead,
got
Mr.
several
Bowles.
checks today,
Yeah.
$306.24, $13.89 for dental and life insurance, health insurance, $5,251, Aflac, $204.42, flow through from the city, $458.33, jail fees, $138.81, interest, $22.32, and $7.44, bringing today's total to $6,402.45, and the fiscal year total to date, $137,287.82.
Make a motion to accept his check and his report.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Steve, why don't you take an extra moment to introduce your newest associate?
That's great. Macy Brown is in the back today. She's the newest assistant Henderson County attorney. She's recently graduated from the Indiana University School of Law and is going to be admitted on a limited practice license while she's studying for the bar. And we're just waiting back for the okay from the Supreme Court on that. But she's been doing some work already, getting her hands dirty over in court a little bit, and we thought today would be a great day for her to come over and see fiscal court and see how county government works and how she can be of assistance over here.
Macy, anything you'd like to say for the good of the group?
She had no idea she was going to be put on the spot today.
We're glad you're with us, and look forward to seeing more of you. Good luck with the bar. I'm sure they'll be easy peasy and off and running. So.
She is a Henderson native, and we're very happy that she has come back home to Henderson.
Amen. Okay, now on to the first reading of the budget. Treasurer Ryder, join us, and you should have received the balanced budget. I will say as she walks up, there's one slight difference between this document and the one we ended up with at the end of the workshop. After the workshop was over, we did receive word from the state. They basically dictate to us how much rent they're going to pay to occupy our judicial center. We hadn't had that number yet, so we plugged in the same year over year for the purpose of our workshop. But when they did send us the number, it was approximately $60,000 less this upcoming year than before. So we took that $60,000 out of the general fund contingency number. It went from $500,000 to $440,000. And anything you want to add to that? Did I say that correctly?
That's correct, yes.
So other than that, anything you'd like to add here? Any other questions? Everybody have a chance to review it? So we'll have first reading?
This is the first reading of the budget for fiscal year 2023. The budget is presented balanced in respect to each fund. Total budget is $34,532,459.89. The fund breakdowns with Revenues with corresponding appropriations are General Fund, $10,018,983.28. Road Fund, $5,822,929.43. Jail Fund, $8,759,020.14. LGEA, which is Local Government Economic Assistance Fund, $776,571. State Grants Fund, $427,000. Federal Grants Fund, 0. Economic Development Fund, $110,000. Employee Health Insurance Fund, $2,101,000. ARPA Fund, which is American Rescue Plan Act, is $6,516,956.04. Again, the total budget for fiscal year 2023, $34,532,459.89.
Need a motion to approve?
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions, comments? Again, thank you for your hard work on this. Thank you, Brenda, for her work.
I need to also, at the end of your packet that Kurt prepared for you, is the annual standing orders. I need to ask you to...
Let me get a vote on that first.
Sorry.
So we have a motion and a second. No other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Really need to do a roll call, sir.
Okay, go for it.
Manager Southard?
Aye.
Manager Moran?
Aye.
Manager Putman?
Aye.
Manager McCollum?
I'm going to abstain. I really appreciate all the hard work on the budget. I like the budget, but I still want to have the budget set up for each department where it's broken down. Don't mean this in a bad way, but you know, when we were talking about hiring another employee in the sheriff's office, and I mentioned about the Social Security and the Medicare, well, we don't have to, the response was we don't have to worry about that. We need to all worry about everything, Social Security, retirement, and so that's why if you put it in everybody's, break down their proportionate part in each budget and then have a total line item for what each department is taking, I think it makes it easier for everybody to see what we're spending and what we're doing and how we're doing it, rather than lumping all the insurance in the general fund and all the Social Security and all those kind of things, rent, utilities, everything. And things are going to get worse with the courthouse. We're taking that over, in about 2-3 years, the bond will be paid over. And what the AOC did on this building was they only paid us based upon the price to build it. And then because we had other things in here, they didn't pay for any of the common spaces. Basically, they're not here to help you. But I abstain.
Manager Berry?
And I'll vote aye for the record. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now to the end of your budget packet, there is a form, an annual standing orders to pre-approve certain reoccurring expenses. We do this every year. These are primarily expenses that usually fall outside the realm of claims. This would be for the general, road, jail funds, be payroll, postage, utilities, also phone, land, and cell lines, and for the health insurance fund, the premiums and claims which are paid weekly.
I'd make a motion to approve the standing claims order.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, you have received your transfers, and they are as presented. This is redistributing appropriations within the existing budget, pretty much trying to cover expenses within each fund through the fiscal year ending 6/30/2022.
Any questions about transfers?
Make a motion to accept the transfers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you.
Your bank balances after paying claims today, you have received this, and your day-to-day appropriations should be at approximately 91%. I do have some additional claims. From the general fund, to A1 Septic Incorporated, $4,463.24. This is for plumbing work at the Judicial Center, and is to come from the Judicial Center Renewals and Repairs Appropriation line. This is a non-reoccurring expense which has been approved by AOC and will be reimbursed by AOC. From the road fund to Bill Hubiak, $2,200.52. This is for reimbursement of training expense and is to come from the county engineer training travel appropriation line. From the jail fund to Republic Services, $636.54. This is for the monthly trash service and is to come from contracted services other appropriation line.
Is that all?
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve those additional.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions about claims? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Thank you.
And just, or you can have a seat, but I was just going to say, you heard that expenses should be at approximately 90% right now. Just in case you hadn't noticed, our general fund expenses are at basically 79%. Road fund is at 88%. Jail is at 65%. And LGEA is right on target at 90%. So we're doing real well on the expense side, staying within the lines, and our revenues are falling in as expected, so it's going to be another good, solid year, even as we increase spending on several items for this year. And I'm proud of the work everybody's done to help stay within budget and keep us moving forward as planned. So with 1 month to go, it looks good. Does anybody from the audience have anything for good of the county?
Bill, you got something? About the Great All?
I don't think it's ready yet, is it?
Do we need to authorize the signing of the purchase agreement for the Great All under the state contract?
Do you have a copy of it?
I ain't got a copy of the purchase agreement. I got a copy of the state contract of it.
Do we need to review the agreement?
If it's pursuant to the state contract and those things have been bid out, then
Okay.
not necessarily. I would probably prefer to review it to make sure there's nothing in there. Is the purchase agreement that you've been provided, has that been one that was part of the bid that was given to the state contract?
The purchase agreement is the state purchase agreement contract. They have a unit that's available that is at this price before a price increase. That's why we wanted to go forward
Right.
with the signed agreement so we can cut them the PO now for the.
Okay.
Can we make a motion subject to to Steve approving the written document?
If it's pursuant to the state bid and it was part of the state bid, it should be fine. But
Brenda,
yeah, I'll take a quick look at it if he's got it.
Have you seen any of the documentation on this that you might need?
I bet I can get through that pretty quickly if he's got it. Thank you, sir. If you want to just-
Yeah, why don't we do this, Bill? If that's all you got, we'll spend a couple moments reviewing any other comments for good of the county. Steve will glance at this real quick and bring it back up. We want to get it moving, of course. I just wanted to make sure we had all the documentation we needed. Anybody else have anything for good of the county? Yes, ma'am. This is Jessica LaRue. I was about to call on you, in fact, but Jessica LaRue and Randy Tapp. Based on the Finance Committee meeting yesterday, we thought it'd be good if we came up and gave us some kind of an update on how the Codes Enforcement Board's doing and some activity that you've had lately with demolition. So, Randy, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Since March, I've sent out about 49 letters out to violations out in the county. 16 of those were citations, which had fines attached to those. We've actually cleaned up 5 properties and condemned and tore down demolitions and got those taken care of. Jessica is in the process of getting 7 liens filed on these properties for the demolitions and some of the citations that haven't been paid for. The cost to clean up 5 of those properties came to around $28,000, which is averaging about $5,600 per demolition. We've received $4,900 payment for one of the cleanups, so it's a positive thing there. But with this new ordinance, it is a little more tedious, a little more paperwork for both of us, but we're getting through it and getting some of these properties cleaned up, and some people are getting these fines, and they don't pay the fines, there will be a lien filed on the property. So
It was good to hear some of those folks paying for the demolitions.
Yep.
And another occasion, they're paying, making payments on the demolitions, so monthly payments or something like that. So that's good. Jessica?
And just one thing to add, sorry, I'm a little shorter. We have had a few meetings. 2 of those have had minutes. So we do have all of the minutes that I am going to email to Mr. Wiesen as well, so that you all can have those minutes as well, and just kind of be up to date with what's going on with the Code Enforcement Board and how it's going. We haven't had anything contested yet, so I don't know if that's good or a bad thing, but we have collected quite a few demo fines as well as just the civil fines whenever they go out on the citations. So we are collecting money. We are seeing people come in. We're also collecting on a few old properties as well that people are still paying on. So good news all around.
If we run short of funds on demo or whatnot, come back and talk to us, and we can maybe adjust the budget or whatnot. We appreciate, and we know you've got a big job to do, but if we need to do something to amend the budget, to do something else, let us know. I mean, just don't,
Yeah.
oh, that's all we got. This is all we can do right now. We appreciate what you're doing. And then we want to make sure that there's not going to be a lapse on the statute of limitations on the liens once they're filed, and we want to file the foreclosures if we have to get the property sold. That clears everything up off the property. Let the master commissioner sell it, and then it's back on the tax roll. So that ends up helping everybody.
One takeaway I had from the meeting yesterday was that there seems to have been a pretty good amount of positive response from a lot of neighbors that have some of these properties next to them. And the pictures that Randy showed yesterday, I mean, some of them were, they were dump sites. There were people just taking their trash and throwing it out back, and then their dogs would, it really, the whole backyard was full of things. And then they started using the front yard. And it's just using it as a dump. And then other situations where there was a fella that had a business where he cleaned up other people's properties, and rather than taking things to the dump, he just took them to his property and dumped it there. There were some things like that I've heard you talk about some of the feedback from neighbors and how appreciative they are, because they keep up their homes and maintain their homes and things, and having issues like this, drawing, animals and things like that, really becomes a problem. And there's a whole lot of those abandoned properties I noticed that you had yesterday. So the feedback from the neighbors seems to be very positive. Sounded like what you were saying. Right?
And I think Randy said it multiple times, the neighbors, it's extremely positive, of course, especially, living beside some houses that were property land that was in the shape that it was. But also homeowners have come in and paid and said thank you, which was a little bit of a change as well. So it's good to hear that the community is responding positively for this, and that we're working hard and it's paying off.
I can only guess that some of those property owners said thank you, didn't know how to go about demolishing their own home, and they just didn't know what to do.
Yeah, they didn't, and plus a lot of them didn't have the funds to come up with on the spot to do that. It's the cost keeps on going up with the price of oil, and the landfill no longer takes the demolition stuff, so they're having to transport it all the way to Owensboro, which is bringing those fees for demolition cleanups up even more. So it's coming up with the average of $5,600 per property, and that's with a lot of bids, competitive bids, coming in on these things. Sometimes homeowners don't get that same a good bid on things. So it's a lot for someone to take care of, to come up with. And so we did have one that did thank us for help cleaning up their property. So.
Not the conversation you typically expect. But it's
No,
good.
no. It's, I get a lot of unkind words for some of these property
Thank you.
maintenance things.
Side note, did you see that property in Pleasant View that I pointed you to? Have you had a chance to run by there yet?
I have not gotten. I've been pretty bombarded with the meeting we had Monday. Had about 400 photos to print out to have
gotcha.
everything, and it was quite a bit to get ready for that meeting with all the. We had to table the meeting before, but I will make sure I get out there today once we get done with the meeting. So.
You can't miss it. It'll be another one the neighbors will be happy to have cleaned up. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Good to go. So, Bill, as to the purchase agreement, Mr. Gold has just said it's approved of form and legality. If you're looking for a vote to move ahead on that, I'll entertain
Make
that
a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second.
This
to
is
go
for the
ahead
grade all.
Purchase the grade all on state contract. Any other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Go. Thank you. Anybody else for good of the county? Go around the horn real quick. Start off with Magistrate McCollum.
I want to apologize for snickering when Steve was talking about the neighborhoods with throwing the trash in their yard or whatnot. My very first juvenile court case, I go to court and the social worker is telling the judge that the people are throwing their chicken bones in the corner of the room. And I immediately want to take the child away from the people, but the time the law was that you have to try to keep the child reunited with the family. And the social worker says, "Oh, no, it's much better. They used to throw them all over the room. Now they just throw them in the corner." So I'm sorry for the snickering, but I could just sort of visualize that picture of the chicken bones in the corner again. It just you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, all is good. My roads are in great shape, and now all's good in the 5th District. Thank you all.
Master Barry.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Kendra. Thank you, and Stacy. I was going to thank you, but you're leaving. Thanks, Stacy, for being here. Good job, Kendra. I don't have a lot, Judge. Just want to get that in. And I know Randy and them have a tough job too. The county, there's places that it's unreal. I mean, it's unreal. I know it costs a lot of money to get those things cleaned up, but like Charlie said, come back if you need money. Maybe we can help, and let's keep it rolling, getting those things cleaned up. And I know Randy knows when I called him, I've got a complaint, but sorry about that. Maybe I'll call you one day just to see if you want to have lunch or something. But, usually when I call him, that's what it is. But good job. Thank everybody, Bill and Nick and Sheriff, everybody that's here, Kenny, Bruce. Bruce, you back there still? Yeah, there he is. Everybody. So that's all I have. Everything's good in District 1, and maybe it'll stay that way for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Mr. Gold.
Well, like Magistrate Barry, I was going to give a shout out to the folks from the Humane Society and what they've been doing, particularly Kendra. You know, she's chairman of their board and didn't really plan on being the de facto executive director. As you all know, their executive director's been out for the last several months with issues within the family, and Kendra and Stacy and several of them have had to step up and really do the day-to-day, executive director type work. And I know that's been a challenge in addition to their day jobs. So they're doing well. Hopefully they will be able to have an executive director in place soon and take some of that burden off them. And some of their new employees will really get their feet under them. And I was going to mention a little bit about Randy and Jessica and the team that they've been as far as this transition into the Code Enforcement Board. They've done an excellent job kind of creating what's a new process, at least for the county, and looking at what other cities and counties have done with these code enforcement boards, and trying to pick and choose the best of what different counties are doing to make ours the best for Henderson County. And I really came away from the Code Enforcement Board meeting yesterday very, very impressed with the system that they've got in place and the output that Randy's doing. I think he's really, doing a good job of prioritizing those worst things out there and trying to kind of chip away at those things with the funds that he's got and the time that he's got. And Jessica's really a huge help as far as keeping that going on the back end of that and dealing with a lot of the phone calls of people sometimes not happy about it, sometimes just confused about the process. So they're doing an excellent job. Otherwise, things are great in the county attorney's office.
Thank you. Master Putman?
Thank you, Judge. I'd like to kind of recap on the city-county co-op meeting that we held last week with Magistrate Moran, myself, the judge, and Mr. Gold was there. There was just a few items on there. We discussed the 911 software upgrades. As it turned out, Jordan had enough money in this year's budget to cover the cost of that. We're concerned about the ongoing cost, if I phrase that right, and I understand it's around $12,000 a year to maintain. But as you all know, it's a great concern of ours, has been for a long time, that these things just pop up every year. It's more money, more money, more money. So, but we all agreed that that was the right thing to do, so we was all good with that. The Crown Castle leases are 2 tower leases. One's in Carden, and where's the other? What was it, Kurt? Municipal Service Center. We agreed to extend that lease on those tires for Crown Castle. Mr. Kenny Garrett was well pleased. We talked about office space. He was kind of cramped where he was at. They happen to have another suite available up on Barrett Boulevard, and he's got plenty of room, and got plenty of room for him, and he's got a luxury suite, So, and of course, the big discussion was joint funding for the agencies that and the biggest part of it was the one we just talked about, was animal control in the Humane Society. Master Moran, was there anything else?
You did a good
Judge?
job.
No, and I did speak to Kendra right before the meeting, spelling out what we had decided to do with their funding, and the city had concurred, and they were okay with that.
That's good.
Do we need to do anything on the leases for Crown Castle?
No,
I didn't think so,
We
sir.
extended it, and the one specifically they were talking about was the one in the city. So it technically it's a city-county
Okay.
lease, but it's almost entirely their bailiwick.
And there's going to be ongoing discussions about these joint agencies as the year moves on. I
Yeah.
think there's some things in the works as what possibly may happen with some of them. And other than that, Judge, I think all is good in the fourth. Thank you.
No, thank you for updating the court on the city-county meeting. We haven't met in a while, and that meeting, a lot of ground got covered.
Yeah.
So thank you for helping with that. Master Moran?
I'd like to just encourage people, the farmers market has opened back up again, and I'd like to encourage people to come out to that, and they have a lot of new vendors this year, and you can get on their Facebook page and see what they have this week and the days that they're open and all that good stuff. So, I mean, please do use them. They're an important part of our community, and we need to support our local groups. And everything's well in the 2nd District.
Absolutely agree on the farmer's market. Thank you for mentioning that. Master Southern?
Well, I think everybody's thanked everybody. So it's farming season is winding down. The crazy part of it is winding down. So I appreciate everybody being patient with us, because I know we're in the way a lot. But everything's good in District 3.
Good deal. And 136 okay? Is it holding together? No. I know that's a relative term.
In
holding
places.
Okay, yeah. Well, keep me posted about that. I want to echo Steve's compliments to Jessica and Randy. Thank you. I know you're kind of flying the plane as you're building it as you're flying it. So it'll be easier this time next year, I'm sure. This time in 6 months, it'll probably be easier. But hang in there and keep up the good work. Compliments to everybody involved with Summerfest last Saturday. It was terrific. The vibe downtown Henderson was amazing. Every restaurant's table was full, I think. And anytime you have a first go at something, especially if it's an outdoor event, weather can get in the way. And they didn't let a little rain stop them from doing it. So, probably about 10 years ago, and Steve will know this better than most people, when I was at the Chamber of Commerce, there was a group of folks who tried to help push for a little bit more relaxed rules downtown about things like festivals and beer gardens, and a little bit of pushback at the time, but eventually it passed. And the hope was, at the time, is that being a little bit more accommodating in that way would create more opportunities for festivals, that more people might want to do stuff downtown because it was easier to do, more reasons to attract people to a festival. And 10 years later, I think that's borne out to be true. There's a busier schedule of festivals happening downtown. There are ones being added, and it's just good to see. And I think everybody's enjoying the diversity of festivals now, and it's just fun to watch. I think for many reasons, downtown's doing well, and it benefits us all. The Memorial Day celebration in the park, commemoration in the park, is this Monday. I encourage everybody to be there. I believe it starts at 10 o'clock. And appreciate everything the War Memorial Foundation and Jim Hanley and the crew at American Legion Post do for getting the crosses in the park put together. It's just amazing. To give you an update on Kenergy's efforts to build out a high-speed broadband network in our county and other counties, they are still working with the PSC on a very minute bit of red tape. The good news is that their partnership with Connexon, through that they believe they can speed up the number of years it will take to build out the network completely in their counties, their grad counties plus Hopkins County. But they are still kind of caught up with the PSC, so several judges, all the judges in that footprint, sent letters to the PSC and to the governor's office urging them to get through this little bit of red tape, give them the green light, even though the General Assembly passed legislation giving cooperatives the ability to build out an internet network without PSC approval. There is a small bit of red tape that is getting in the way, one sentence in the legislation that is slowing it down again. So we're doing everything we can to hopefully before the end of this month get the PSC to bless it and let them move on. So we're trying all we can, and our message to Kenergy was, if that doesn't happen, to unleash the judge executives and fiscal courts in those counties to really, let the state know how important this is to us and to everybody, and to get out of the way, for want of a better term. The money's there. There's federal money and state money available to this. People want it. People need it. Let's get out of the way. And so stay tuned. Hopefully I'll have good news by the time we meet again. You might hear it before that. But anyway, thank you for the support you've given in the past on that issue. And folks are trying like heck to get her done. So hang in there. With that, that's all I have. I can entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you all again. All those in favor can leave.